How's it going, everybody? Too Spooky here, with the reveal that this duo would be prominently featured in the Mortal Kombat 1 Khaos Reigns DLC, and the fact we've already talked about Smoke in the past. I figured it was about time we counted down 25 facts about Cyrax and Sektor, everybody's favorite cyber ninjas. This video was suggested by all of these lovely people right here, and without any more delay, let's jump right into it.
Number 1.
The conception for the Cyber Ninja first began with John Tobias wanting to introduce some sort of haunted armor as a fighter, but at some point, someone else suggested the idea of making them robots, which Tobias wasn't crazy about at first, but he ended up thinking it would actually make sense with already established lore. As in the Mortal Kombat 2 comic series, it was mentioned that the Lin Kuei have access to advanced technology, thinking he could tie this robot idea to the Lin Kuei as a result. Tobias also found inspiration from the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz novel, as the Tin Man was formerly human in the novel, and longed to be human again, deciding to make the Cyber Ninja cyborgs that were formerly human members of the Lin Kuei, with examples like Cyrax and Smoke against the idea of being cyberized, and wanting to be fully human again throughout the original timeline, further creating an interesting dynamic with Sektor, who was not only willing to be cyberized, but fully believed it was the right thing to do. Their appearances would be partially based on Boba Fett from Star Wars, along with the Predator, wanting them to look like armored ninjas to illustrate their background as Lin Kuei, while also keeping them modern, futuristic, and unique. The three Cyber Ninja would end up being portrayed by Sal DeVita, who also portrayed Nightwolf, and the costume used to create them would be put together with BMX motocross gear, hockey gear, rubber tubing, and duct tape, with the only completely original element of the costume being the helmet. Number 2. It's no secret that Cyrax and Sektor were first introduced in Mortal Kombat 3, which was easily the most divisive of the original games. Namely because the roster included a plethora of new characters while keeping out a lot of the most recognizable, notably the absence of characters like Scorpion, Reptile, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Kitana, and Melina. There are multiple differing reports as to why this happened, but the general consensus is a mix of two factors. The team just naturally wanting to take the games a different direction, by panning away from the Asian-inspired elements of the first two games, and bringing it towards a more modern style. The other factor being direct interference from Midway themselves, as they allegedly wanted the games to be absent of ninja characters altogether. This is because between Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 in 1994, Midway parted with Daniel Pesina, who portrayed Johnny Cage and the ninja characters in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, Catalin Zamiar, who portrayed the female ninjas in Mortal Kombat 2, Philip An, who portrayed Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 2, Elizabeth Malecki, who portrayed Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat 1, and also Carlos Pesina, who is not only Daniel's brother, but also the one who portrayed Raiden in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. They're parting due to the fact that Midway allegedly didn't compensate them for their appearance in the console ports of the games, and only compensated them for the arcade ports, which followed two separate lawsuits in 1996 and 1997 from the parties mentioned, overall causing a lot of bad blood between them, and to make matters worse, Daniel and Carlos would both go on to promote rival fighting games Bloodstorm, Tattoo Assassins, and the unreleased Thea Realm Fighters, even promoting some of the games dressed as Johnny Cage. Out of all the parties mentioned, Carlos would be the only one who would remain at Midway, but his involvement in all this is the reason Raiden wouldn't appear in Mortal Kombat 3. So rather than straight up recasting all of them, Midway wanted to avoid it altogether, which brings us to the introduction of the Cyber Ninja, and also changes like Sub-Zero without a mask to avoid the ninja appearance. Cyrax, Sektor, and Cyber Smoke would end up being introduced purely as a way to include more characters in the game, as back then, arcade cabinets could only hold so much memory, but with characters who were simply color-changed palette swaps, they could include multiple characters with the same sprites to save memory. For example, Smoke and Sektor have completely identical sprite patterns outside of a few special moves and fatalities, essentially including two characters for the price of one. So if it wasn't for all of those factors, the Cyber Ninja wouldn't exist. Number 3. Easily the most well-known fact regarding the duo would be that during their initial development in Mortal Kombat 3, the developers didn't have a name for them until the game was almost complete, as they simply couldn't decide on what to call them. So throughout the entire development process, they were simply known as Ketchup and Mustard.
This is Shang Tsung
morphing into the robot ninja, who we call Ketchup right now, because right now there's a red guy and there's a yellow guy, so we call them Ketchup and Mustard. But they will have real names later on.
Number 4. Regarding the history of Cyrax and Sektor, I've actually already extensively covered it in my video going over the history of the Cyber Initiative as a whole, and just repeating it all here seems a bit redundant. So if you're interested in Cyrax and Sektor's history through the original timeline all the way up to Mortal Kombat X, be sure to check out that video, as it still holds up. There will be a link in the description or card in the top right hand corner of the screen. However, since that video's release, Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1 have given us much more history for this duo that I obviously couldn't cover there. So for this fact, I'll be covering the remainder of their history. Although, one aspect I didn't cover in that video would be how Cyrax was also partially responsible for the resurrection of the Dragon King Onaga, albeit unknowingly. This is because during the events of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Cyrax ended up getting trapped in Outworld with no way to return home to Earthrealm.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Meanwhile, the vampire Nitara was constructing a plan to access the secret chamber that contained the last remaining dragon egg, as within this chamber also lied the portal sphere that linked the merger of her home realm, Vaeternus, tricking Reptile into opening the chamber. Unfortunately, the portal sphere was hidden deep within the molten lava surrounding the egg, so Nitara was unable to get it, discarding Reptile as a result. As fate would have it, she later encountered Cyrax, and quickly recognized that his cybernetic body would be able to withstand the lava's heat. So the two of them made a deal. Cyrax would enter the lava and retrieve the portal sphere, and then Nitara would use her magic to send him back to Earthrealm, which is exactly what happened. And then Nitara would smash the orb and return to her homeworld of Vaeternus for the first time in what seemed like forever. But among all of this scheming was poor little Reptile, who felt utterly betrayed by Nitara.
Why you bully me?
And wandered around the lava chamber in shambles after she disappeared, when out of nowhere, the dragon egg would hatch, and its energy would strike Reptile, where he would become the catalyst for Onaga's return as his new host body. So if Cyrax didn't go grab that orb, there's a chance Onaga wouldn't have been resurrected in that moment. But moving over to the alternate timeline of Mortal Kombat 11, with Kronika altering the timeline to prepare for her new era, she brings Sektor and Cyrax from the past into the present, where they begin restoring the Cyber Lin Kuei by restarting their old factory, and use Sub-Zero's Lin Kuei members to fuel their cybernetic slaves. Additionally, Frost willingly took part in cyberization as she held great disdain for Sub-Zero allying himself with Scorpion. Kronika's plan would be going smoothly until Sub-Zero and Scorpion infiltrated the factory in hopes to shut it down, as Sub-Zero wanted to rescue and avenge his clan, while Scorpion wanted to stop Sektor, as while it wasn't mentioned until Mortal Kombat X, Sektor played a role in the Shirai Ryu's massacre. In the process of infiltrating the factory, the two of them defeat Frost and Cyrax, with Sub-Zero working to reprogram Cyrax for his aid. But before he can reprogram him, the two of them also have to face a newly resurrected Noob Saibot. After taking care of him as well, they manage to reprogram Cyrax and shut down his slave protocol, as since he had been unwillingly cyberized, Sub-Zero knew that Cyrax would ally with them and help him shut down the Cyber Lin Kuei. But before they could go ahead with that plan, Sektor appeared and tried to stop them. However, they managed to take him down as well. Cyrax then aids the two of them in shutting down the factory and the Cyber Lin Kuei, also shutting himself down in the process. As the factory is crumbling, Frost and Noob Saibot manage to escape with the incapacitated Sektor. Kronika then enlists the help of Kano to not only restore Sektor, but also completely rewrite his software, so they can use him to create thousands of Cyber Ninja of their own. In what seems like no time at all, Sektor is ready for battle in new red and white armor with an army of Cyber Ninja to boot, where along with the past and present version of Kano, they attack the Special Forces in an attempt to capture the past versions of Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage. The present Johnny Cage then pursues Sektor and manages to defeat him, along with past Kano. But present Kano puts a stop to that, and secures the capture of past Sonya and past Johnny. As Kano and the rest of the Cyber Ninja are taking their leave, Kano activates Sektor's self-destruct feature, destroying the entire base and marking the end of Cyrax and Sektor in the alternate timeline. Moving on to the new timeline in Mortal Kombat 1, Bihan and Sektor have been working in the shadows to create a new army with tech, by creating powerful combat armor for the members of the Lin Kuei, so that they can go against Liu Kang. Sektor begins testing the prototype armor along with Cyrax, as Sektor is Cyrax's mentor. The only thing is, Cyrax is completely unaware of their deception. Bi-Han is most impressed with the armor's capabilities, but wants to test it in battle before he gives Sektor the go-ahead to mass produce it. They intend to test it on the newly formed Shirai Ryu, targeting Kuai Liang's upcoming wedding as the perfect time to do so. Cyrax is hesitant to attack a wedding, regardless of Kuai Liang's treachery, but goes along with Bi-Han and Sektor's plan anyway. On the day of the wedding, the attack commences, and Cyrax and Sektor face off against Smoke and Johnny Cage, defeating them. But when Kuai Liang's wife-to-be is about to be killed, Cyrax steps in to save her, as she isn't part of the mission. Sektor begins to reprimand her, but the two of them then get confronted by Kuai Liang. They manage to take him down as well, to which Bi-Han instructs Cyrax to detain him. Kuai Liang's wife-to-be then fights back, and the truth of Bi-Han and Sektor's treachery is revealed to Cyrax, where she's forced to go up against the two as she's now considered a threat to the Lin Kuei for knowing the truth. She takes them down with the help of Kuai Liang, and then profusely apologizes for believing their lies and going against him. However, he does not forgive her, and instead, Cyrax chooses to apologize with her life. But before she's executed, Kuai Liang's wife-to-be stops him. Sektor and Bi-Han are then taken before Liu Kang and Empress Melina to decide their fates, but before they can reach a conclusion, their entire timeline, no, every timeline is threatened, as Havik and his army attack, attempting to kidnap Geras so they can bring chaos to every timeline in existence. Obviously, this takes precedent over the Lin Kuei's plans, so Bi-Han and Sektor fight alongside everyone else, with Sektor in particular teaming up with Chameleon to face Havik's army. The two of them manage to fend off multiple foes, but Havik's might proves to be too powerful, as he and his army get away with kidnapping Geras. But as the portal is closing, Bi-Han jumps through it to pursue them. After much deliberation, it's decided that Kuai Liang, Cyrax, and Sektor are going to infiltrate Havik's timeline to rescue Geras and Bi-Han. Shortly after they enter Havik's timeline, they run into an alternate version of Johnny Cage being pursued by Havik's goons, as he just so happens to be running a rebellion against Havik. The three of them decide they should rescue Johnny, as he could very well lead them to Geras and Bi-Han. They fight off his pursuers, where we then meet his companion, Emperor Rain. He tells them that Bi-Han and Geras are likely within Havik's citadel, but the only person who knows the layout would be Rain's wife, Tanya, who was recently captured by Havik and is about to fight to the death in his arena. So they decide they must team up and go rescue her. As they approach the Colosseum, they are noticed by Havik's variant of Kenshi, and he forces the group into the arena to fight alongside Tanya. After facing multiple opponents, they end up retreating unknowingly into Havik's maze, where they're forced to fight through enemies pursuing them, along with being careful to avoid many traps. In the process, the group ends up getting separated, with Cyrax, Kuai Liang, and Johnny in one group, and Sektor, Tanya, and Rain in the other. After facing multiple foes, Sektor's group is trapped in a room with collapsing walls, so while Sektor picks the lock, Rain holds the walls apart with his water magic. Unfortunately, he is only able to hold the walls back long enough so that Tanya and Sektor can escape, and he is crushed in the process. Sektor and Tanya continue onwards until they eventually encounter a dragon. After fending off more of Havik's minions, Tanya uses her power to telepathically communicate with the dragon, and with the rest of the group reconvening within the same room, the dragon reveals that every path in the maze leads here, and there is no escape. However, the dragon decides to use its magic to teleport the group into Havik's citadel. Shortly after arriving, they encounter Bi-Han, who has been corrupted with Havik's chaos and transformed into Noob Saibot. While the group fights off more of Havik's minions, Tanya and Cyrax manage to take down Noob and capture him, so they can bring him back to their timeline in hopes that Liu Kang can somehow restore him. They travel further into the Citadel and manage to locate and rescue Geras, who takes them all back to their timeline, stealing Havoc's Kamidogu in the process so that his plans will be thwarted. Upon returning, Liu Kang manages to restore Bihan's mind, but not his body. Either way, Sektor is happy to have him back. But before they can truly rejoice, Havoc and his forces attack and retrieve the Kamidogu, with Havoc embedding them in his chest to acquire their power before setting off to begin spreading his chaos to all the realms. But before he can fully execute his plan, all the usual suspects arrive to take him down. After a long-fought battle, Bihan is actually the one to stop Havoc, but upon trying to deliver a finishing blow, Liu Kang stops him, to which Bihan tries to pick a fight with him as well, but Sektor tries to stop him. He continues anyway, and is instead stopped by Geras. Liu Kang then decides to send Sektor back to the Lin Kuei as their temporary Grand Master, while he works to restore Bihan to his former self. Following the fallout of Havoc's attack, Kuai Liang forgives Cyrax for believing Bihan's lies, and offers her a place within the Shirai Ryu, which she graciously accepts. Which puts us up to date with Cyrax and Sektor in the current timeline. Number 5. In addition to the last fact, the reason why more Cyber Ninja aren't present in the original timeline outside of the Takunin is because Sektor, Cyrax, and Smoke were all the very first prototypes to see if cyberization of the Lin Kuei was actually worth it by the Grand Master. Sektor being the first, as the son of the Grand Master he willingly participated. Cyrax would be second, although unwillingly converted, and then Smoke would become the third after being captured from his attempt to flee the clan. Sub-Zero would have been the fourth prototype, however he managed to escape. Following their cyberization and the events of Mortal Kombat 3, the Lin Kuei wouldn't end up cyberizing any of their other members, and with Sub-Zero later claiming the role of Grand Master, he would put any future plans for the Cyber Initiative to rest, which is notably the biggest difference between the original and the alternate timeline. As while Sektor and Cyrax were among the first to be cyberized, the majority of the clan was automated as well. Number 6. In Mortal Kombat 3, Cyrax and Smoke each have a fatality where they self-destruct. Cyrax's being a direct reference to the movie Predator, where he initiates the self-destruct feature on his forearm before laughing and exploding, taking his opponent with him. Whereas Smoke literally blows up the entire planet. So it might seem like Sektor is the only one who can't self-destruct, even though we just mentioned him blowing up in Mortal Kombat 11. However, in his non-canon ending for Mortal Kombat 3, after terminating Sub-Zero, Sektor is attacked by Shao Kahn's forces. Although he can handle them easily, he quickly deduces that Shao Kahn is a threat to the Lin Kuei as a whole. So he fights his way into Shao Kahn's fortress and then initiates his self-destruct sequence, which ends up being so powerful that it closes the portal Shao Kahn used to invade Earth. And then everything in Earthrealm went back to normal. So while non-canon, Sektor basically saved Earthrealm by nuking Shao Kahn. So I guess all three of them can self-destruct after all. Number 7. While the Lin Kuei are a Chinese clan, they have members from all over the world, some of which joined willingly, while others were captured as children and forced to serve the organization. It's evident that Sektor is of Chinese descent, but Cyrax is originally from Botswana in Africa. It's insinuated that he joined of his own free will, but the truth on that matter has never been revealed. This is true for both the original timeline and the alternate timeline. But in the Mortal Kombat 1 timeline, things are just a tiny bit different. Sektor is still of Chinese descent, as her mother, Madame Bo, was a high-ranking warrior within the Lin Kuei, while her father was the clan's master armorer, while Cyrax was born into one of the Lin Kuei's sub-clans called the Zaki, which resided in the Air Mountains of Niger, Africa. Number 8. In addition to the last fact, Cyrax's human form was first revealed in Mortal Kombat Gold, as during his ending, the Special Forces helped him regain his humanity, where he removes part of his helmet to reveal his face, which would further be expanded upon via his alternate outfit in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. However, Sektor's human form wouldn't be revealed until Mortal Kombat 9, where both Sektor and Cyrax have alternate outfits which feature their human selves before they were cyberized, which also included the neat feature of showing how they utilized their fighting styles before they were cyberized with unique animations between both skins, which also notably added extra difficulty for higher level of competitive play, as the moves they use in their human forms have slightly different timings from their cyber counterparts, meaning if you were in the competitive scene for Mortal Kombat 9, you had to memorize the timing for both forms of each character to accurately counter them. And Cyrax made his first live-action appearance in the 1997 film Mortal Kombat Annihilation, portrayed by J.J. Perry, who also played Scorpion and Noob Saibot. In the film, he would just be referred to as a robot, but the credits confirm that it was indeed Cyrax. Within the film, his connection to the Lin Kuei is never mentioned, unlike Smoke, who is a mixture of both Smoke and Sektor, as Smoke utilizes Sektor's rocket moves from the games. Instead, Cyrax is a minion of Shao Kahn sent to kill Sonya and Jax. Additionally, Perry mentioned in an interview that he filmed his scene as Scorpion against Sub-Zero with an injured ankle, as he previously filmed the scene as Cyrax where he fought Jax, and apparently while filming he tripped over a power cable on the ground as the helmet he wore didn't provide any peripheral vision. Further stating that during that fight scene, he and Lynn Williams, the actor for Jax, weren't pulling any punches and really beat the piss out of each other. Number 10. Cyrax and Sektor would make their last live-action appearance in the 2011 live-action web series Mortal Kombat Legacy, Cyrax being portrayed by Shane Warren Jones, while Sektor was portrayed by Peter Shinkoda, where we witnessed the two of them being cyberized, before testing out their new abilities against another cyberized member that is called Project Hydro. It's currently looking like Cyrax and Sektor will not be appearing in the new Mortal Kombat movie coming out in 2025 based on initial casting reveals, but if that movie does well and they end up making a third one, there's a chance we might see these two in live action again. Number 11. Cyrax and Sektor would also be featured in the 1996 cartoon Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, appearing in the very first episode with other Cyber Lin Kuei as they try to invade Earthrealm. Their storyline would be pretty much the same as the original timeline, except for one key difference, that being their human forms. As during a flashback, Sektor is shown to be of African descent, while Cyrax is of Asian descent, which is the complete opposite in actuality. The reason for this difference can be attributed to the fact that their human forms had never been canonically revealed at that point, but it's just kind of funny to see that they were so close, yet so far from the truth. Number 12. Following the release of Mortal Kombat 3, it was a popular theory that Cyrax was actually Scorpion and Sektor was actually Reptile, both captured by the Lin Kuei and transformed into cyborgs, since neither of them were present in the game's roster, although reading the character bios would quickly put that theory to rest. And following the other palette swap ninja characters being reintroduced in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, it was clear this was never the case. Number 13. Regarding Triborg from Mortal Kombat X, which is a completely robotic fighter that has the downloaded consciousness and abilities of Cyrax, Sektor, Smoke, and Sub-Zero all merged together. This concept was basically the evolution of Sektor's ending from Mortal Kombat Armageddon, as within that ending, upon defeating Blaze, the power Sektor received ended up linking him with Cyrax and Smoke, where the three of them would basically combine together into what they describe as an abomination of flesh and technology, sharing one mind, becoming the new god. So while not exactly the same thing, this very well could have been the initial concept that led to Triborg. Number 14. When it comes to Cyrax and Sektor being gender swapped in Mortal Kombat 1, Ed Boon went on to comment in an interview with GameSpot that, "We have this kind of balance we're trying to do with this game. It's like, bring characters back that players want to see, but also don't just repeat the same things with them. So we give them new origins, new looks. You know, Sektor and Cyrax are now female, and so they're, really dramatic changes from before. But they have the signature moves that players are looking for. And throughout the over 30 years of Mortal Kombat, this would actually mark the first time that any of the characters were gender swapped over different timelines officially."
Number 15.
The codenames for the Cyber Ninjas are as follows. Sektor is LK-99, Cyrax is LK-4D4, and Smoke is LK-7T2. If you didn't already pick up on it, each of these codenames are meant to be audio puns, because if you say them out loud, they actually just say a number, as LK9T9 is meant to be Linquay 99, and LK4D4 is meant to be Linquay 44, for instance. Number 16. Speaking of the codenames, Cyrax's codename was referenced during Injustice 2, where Catwoman uses his codename to override a computer system.
Defense system override. Authorization LK4D4.
System Administrator Selena Kyle.
Additionally, in Injustice 2, Sektor's name can be found in some of Sub-Zero's gear, whereas he also has a yellow and red shader called Cyber Initiative. Number 17. Very early on during the production of Mortal Kombat 3, even before Sektor and Cyrax were called Ketchup and Mustard, Sektor in particular was nicknamed RoboCop, as he was the first of the 3 Cyber Ninja developed. Which is ironic because the actual RoboCop would eventually make it into a Mortal Kombat game as a guest DLC character in Mortal Kombat 11, which is also notably the game that doesn't feature Sektor or Cyrax as playable characters. Additionally, RoboCop was given a skin called Cyber Ninja, which puts the character in a costume based on the Cyber Ninja look from Mortal Kombat 3, which also features multiple colors, including red for Sektor and yellow for Cyrax. Number 18. In Mortal Kombat 9, during Cyrax's victory pose, he takes a bomb out of his chest and puts it back inside. But if you enable a special match of armless combat, when he hits that victory pose, the bomb will just fall out of his chest and explode. Number 19. In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, the developers almost gave Sektor a sort of pulse staff weapon instead of his pulse blades, as seen within art unlocked in the crypt. It's unknown why he wasn't given the staff in the final game, but it's speculated that it's probably because in Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, he wielded a pulse blade, so they simply kept that concept for Armageddon. Number 20. Sektor and Cyrax's original codenames of Ketchup and Mustard would also be referenced in future games, as for instance in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, some of Cyrax's combos in the Sambo style are called Ketchup and Mustard, while in Armageddon, Sektor has a move called Ketchup's Revenge. Number 21. In Mortal Kombat 9, whenever you perform a babality on Sektor's human form, he will cry tears of oil just like his robot form. However, this error doesn't happen with Cyrax. Number 22. Contrary to what you might expect as a cyberized ninja assassin, Cyrax is actually a cinephile. However, according to Deadly Alliance's Conquest mode, Cyrax has never liked any of Johnny Cage's films, and felt especially robbed of the $8 he paid to go see Ninja Mime. The other piece of information we can take away from this is that Cyrax must have some sort of side hustle to acquire cash to sustain his love for film, because I highly doubt the Lin Kuei are paying their cyborgs a salary. Number 23. Additionally, in Deadly Alliance, within the crypt, you can unlock an advertisement for the book Feelings, a collection of poems and essays, which features a first-hand review by Cyrax, who states, "The poetry and essays of Feelings are the perfect meditation between fatalities. Buy it now at your local Realm store." Lots of people think that I am just a violent mechanical assassin. True, but that's only one part of me. When I'm not shredding someone in my machinery, Feelings lets me get in touch with my human side. Number 24. In Mortal Kombat 3, each of the Cyber Ninja bios state that they are now soulless. However, when it comes to Cabal's freaky face fatality, which literally scares the soul out of people, Cyrax, Sektor, and Smoke are still shown to have a soul deep within them when Cabal scares it out. And finally, number 25. To end on a bit of a somber note, Cyrax in particular was directly referenced in a real-life murder, as back in 1997, 13-year-old Noah Wilson was killed by 13-year-old Yancey Salazar, as Salazar stabbed Noah in the chest with a knife, where Wilson later died from massive blood loss. The victim's mother, Andrea Wilson, would then go on to sue Midway Games, as she claimed that Salazar was not only obsessed with Mortal Kombat, but truly believed they were the character Cyrax in real life, further claiming that this obsession caused Salazar to reenact one of Cyrax's fatalities, where he puts his opponent in a headlock and stabs them in the chest. The main issue with this claim being that Cyrax doesn't have a fatality where he stabs anyone in the chest, and it simply doesn't exist, resulting in the case being dropped. It's definitely very sad to learn about, And I don't blame the grieving mother for trying to find something to blame for her son's death. But regardless of anything you'd witness in a Mortal Kombat game, or any other piece of media for that matter, it's never a piece of media's fault for someone committing a violent crime, regardless of any inspiration the guilty party might try to claim. But there you have it, everybody, 25 facts about Cyrax and Sektor. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you did, make sure to drop a like. While you're at it, be sure to comment which Mortal Kombat character you'd like to learn about next, and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss it. These Mortal Kombat fact videos are always a ton of fun to make, so you can expect more in due time. Outside of that, I've always got a ton of other projects cooking in the background, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon with the next video.